Hi, welcome back. What? You mean I can't make my own tokens on D&D maps? Oh. Hi Maverick Gamers. Today's going to be a little bit of an interesting topic. If you're like me and you play a lot of Dungeons & Dragons online, the options that you have in order to bring those games to your players is just overwhelming, to be honest. There is a tremendous amount of options available to you both as a Dungeon Master and as a player. Not only that, a lot of these options don't actually connect to each other as far as functionality. I mean, there are very few that have 100% of what you need, and a lot of them have a little bit of what you need here and there. I'll give you an example. You have Discord as a primary use of gamers to come together and speak to each other and communicate. Yet a lot of virtual tables don't build that functionality in, and if they do build it in, it's not as good as Discord. So right off the bat, you're starting with two different platforms that players are going to have to engage with. Now throw in the actual tabletop itself and what kind of character sheet format they want to use, whether they're using the official DnD Beyond or again a third-party stitch over. So as you can see, you're going to be dealing with a lot of different interconnecting parts when it comes to playing D&D online. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the official toolset that Wizards of the Coast have rolled out and how to connect them together to hopefully bring a little bit more sanity to your online Dungeons & Dragons games. Let's get into it. Wizards of the Coast currently gives us 3 different tools that we can use to play Dungeons & Dragons online within their official rule set. We have DnD Beyond, which is basically the core umbrella that encompasses all the different digital tools that Wizards of the Coast currently uses. We have the Maps program, or the Maps tool, which is currently in an alpha stage and being rolled out to DM tier subscribers, so your players won't actually have access to it unless you're running a game with it. And then we also have the Campaigns. Campaigns is built right into D&D Beyond and isn't necessarily a separate tool, but just integrated into the larger tool set that D&D Beyond provides. Currently, your players have a multitude of options when it comes to actually storing their Dungeons & Dragons characters online, to say nothing of the fact that they can still technically print them out on a piece of paper and have it in front of them. But usually, a character sheet is tied to the specific virtual table that you're using. In D&D Beyond's case, you can actually have your character sort of archived and use the official rule set that D&D Beyond provides, and various other tabletops will allow you to export them. Now, if we're going to go with this official tabletop use, we're going to actually keep our characters in Dungeons & Dragons Beyond. So step 1, get your players to go, log in, create an account, and make a character using the official toolset on D&D Beyond. So once your players are all settled in with their D&D Beyond character, you're going to go in as the Dungeon Master and make your campaign. This is important because you're going to have to invite your players into your campaign with their D&D Beyond characters. I'm going to show you how to do that really quickly right now. So you go to the Collections tab at the top, you go over to My Campaigns. It's going to pull up a list of your current campaigns if you have any, but also give you the option of creating a new one. We're going to create a new one for this example. So right off the bat, you're going to want to name it, and I'm just going to name this Generic Campaign. Once you've given it a title, as every good game master would want to do, is create a description of your campaign. For this example, I'm going to leave it blank, but this is a spot where you actually can put in images, you can put in videos, you can also put in just an elaborate description or anything you want the players to see when they land on your campaign page. So this campaign will now show up in your list, and you'll see down here it has 0 players listed. We're going to go in and view that campaign, and this is what the campaign landing page is going to look like for your players. Currently blank because I don't have any active players, and I also don't have a description for it. But importantly, up top here is an option that says Copy Link. When you copy that link, you're going to want to send it to your players. You can message them, you can email it to them, however you want to get it to them. When they click that link, it's going to prompt them to choose or make a character to join your campaign with. And that's important because at that point, it's going to show up in your campaign page and allow you to actually look at the player character as long as any other players that are in your group. Now, there's one last thing I want to point out to you. This little button up here is called Content Sharing. I'm going to enable content sharing. I'm going to confirm that. And what that means is basically any of the digital content that I have purchased through D&D Beyond will be available to the players to make use of while they're in this campaign. It's kind of a perk that you can say to the players. It'll have the player's handbook if you have it, as well as any other optional items or optional books that you've actually purchased. Now, one thing to note here is that it's still up to you as the Dungeon Master to set the rules as what can and can't be used as far as those supplements. All it takes is some ambitious players to look at what kind of subclasses they can get, and if you've purchased any of the expanded books, it's going to give them a lot more options than maybe you want them to have. Irregardless, once your campaign's set, you can go on to the next step. Maps is the latest addition to the D&D Beyond tool set. It's a great addition, and it's a very simplified, sort of easy-to-use version of some of the other more popular virtual tables out like Roll20 and Foundry. I'm going to walk you through the basics of it and see why I like it in its simplicity. So the first thing you want to do is go back to your campaign page, the campaign that we just built in the previous step. At the very top, you're going to see a button that says Learn More Maps. That is your portal to the maps side of the D&D Beyond toolset. I'm going to click that right now. This takes you to the Maps portal. From this page, you're going to have the option of doing a drop-down menu, and it's going to allow you to choose the campaign that you want to activate the maps for. This is important because the players on their D&D Beyond character sheet are going to have an icon or a button that says Launch Now or Launch Game. That's going to allow them to immediately jump into the corresponding maps that you decided to start using with your campaign. I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. We're going to go down and select Generic Campaign. It's the campaign that we just created. And click Go. Voila! You now have a loaded in maps. And in this example here, I've already preloaded the forest map, but I'm going to walk you through maps a little bit just so you can get an idea of what's available to you as far as the tools. At the top corner, you're going to have the map browser. The map browser is what you're going to use to upload maps of your own or use pre-existing maps. Clicking on map browser allows you to see what you've got loaded up as well as some of the pre-generated ones. Now it's worth noting that currently in alpha, Wizards of the Coast is actually going through the process of importing maps from some of their adventure supplements. So you actually will have the option, if you own the digital product, to actually bring the maps right from that digital product into D&D Maps. Now the list is very limited at the moment, and it doesn't have near as many preloaded maps from those supplements as it needs to. For example, I have Shadow of the Dragon Queen, and they've yet to implement that into the Maps program. When it does happen, you'll instantly be able to just click and bring a map from a specific chapter or an encounter that's going to happen that they've provided right into this program. I'll show you what's available now. Clicking on Basic Maps, you're going to see that they have pretty much the standard battle grids that are available when you go to the store and buy some tiles. They have caves, grass, wood floor, a variety of different types of elements. I have forest preloaded now, but I'm just going to load in snow so you can see how this works. By clicking the plus button, I'm loading it into my browser. I'm going to close that and immediately go up, and I now have snow available. So I can flip to these on the fly. You can load as many as you want and have them available on demand. Let me walk you through some of the basic features of maps. Starting with the spawning of your tokens, one of the most important things you got to remember with maps is that right now they don't allow you to import your own tokens. So that means that unless you own the digital companion for the monsters or creatures or companions that you want to spawn into the table, you're not going to be able to put in your own assets. So right now you have options for monsters, players, and companions. Players, obviously as a player joins your campaign, you're going to be able to spawn them onto your table. I have Barbados here, ready to go. Going back over to my monsters, you can do a search, and it's going to search through all your existing companions. If you own a digital adventure book, all the monsters are going to get pulled into your D&D Beyond account. If you've bought the monster manual, all those monsters are going to be in your compendium. If I go in and type goblin, a goblin's going to appear in the compendium. And I'm going to add that to the table. Now, it's worth noting, and this is very important, right now D&D Maps does not have the ability to pull up information pertaining to the individuals on your table. Unlike some virtual tables where you can just click on the token to reveal the stats or the information about the token, in this case, these tokens are independent of your other D&D Beyond content. Players can move these around, and they are not beholden to the grid, so there is no snap to grid feature. However, Wizards of the Coast have added a ruler function. So this services as your ability to see how far away things are on the virtual table by simply dragging and seeing it measure it in real time. I, for one, like this feature. I'm not a big fan of having grids on a virtual table, and the reason for that is that it gamifies the table a little bit too much. It turns it into a glorified chess game or a checkers board. When players look at it, as soon as they see the grid, they're pulled out of the immersion of it being an actual environment or being an actual scene. By having just tokens and a blank map, as far as no grid lines, it treads the line between that imaginative play and that tactical board game feel. One last thing to note on maps is that you do have the battle log down in the corner, the game log. So this is the same game log that exists on a D&D Beyond character sheet for the player. The only difference now is it exists on the map screen. So if you're looking at players who are trying to not keep their attention divided, they can focus on the map screen and see all the information from all the players and monsters rolling. So thanks for pushing through this extra long video on how to use the 3 tools that Dungeons & Dragons Beyond currently offers to run your D&D online campaign. In a future video, I'm going to show you how to use the Dungeons & Dragons Encounter portion of D&D Beyond to add in that extra final level of synergy between these different options within the umbrella that D&D Beyond offers. Running a Dungeons & Dragons session online is very challenging and can involve a lot of frustration if you don't have the right tools and you're not too sure on how they're going to work together. Hopefully this video just showed you some of the options and the options that I'm currently using to best bring D&D online to your players. Hope you're all having fun playing Dungeons & Dragons out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Before you go, I need your help. I'm trying to grow the exposure of what we do here at Maverick Games. My goal is to actually bring information to parents and students around the world in hopes that they can see gaming as a path forward for learning, academics, and even support of neurodivergency. Please subscribe, make sure you click on those notifications, and I hope that you'll find content here that will be helpful for you and maybe others. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in.